Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
The sea was rough, and there were no signs of the storm ever settling. The whole crew was on full alert, including the passengers, but the captain assured us that we'd be fine as long as we just pushed through it, and most of us believed him at first. I was just a simple deckhand. All I really did was clean the ship and help with food preparation and catering to the guests' needs. I wasn't essential personnel, like the captain always said, but I felt like I did my fair share. I was in the indoor pool area watching the rain pelt the deck like little daggers, trying to keep myself from throwing up as the boat rocked back and forth. A coworker slapped me on the back and asked me if I needed to see the doctor, but I declined, telling him that I was fine. He walked away through the back door and I continued to glare out the windows. After what seemed like an hour, I felt myself transfixed on the water, and I swear I started to see things. Little things at first, like bits of metal and wood, then wooden boxes, and then I seen people. People. Oh, I ran out into the storm and looked over the railing. People were in the water, there had to be dozens of them, yet they were no match for the swallowing waves of the ocean. I ran to the emergency intercom and screamed that people were overboard, but no one came to my aid. I looked for help, but I was met with chaos. I hadn't even noticed through the thunder of the sky and the torrential downpour, but people were running everywhere. What was happening? I grabbed someone mid-sprint and asked him to tell me what was going on. You don't know? The whole ship's going down, the whole fucking port is Swiss cheese, bro. What? No way. Titanic 2.0, holy shit. The fellow broke out of my grasp and ran toward a group of deckhands passing out life vests and ushering people onto lifeboats. I ran after him trying to see if there was room, and just as the man climbed aboard, a giant wall of water climbed the side of the boat and tore the damned thing right off the line. I fell on my back and slammed my head against the ground, yelping in pain, and that's when I started sliding. The ocean was a harsh mistress, but I wish the bitch would have given me time to get a hold of myself before flipping the whole damn boat on its side. There was a loud crack, and then as quickly as it had turned, it slammed back into the ocean, throwing me what had to be 10 feet. I landed with a hard crunch, and knew instantly that I had broken some ribs. I felt the bones nudge against my organs as I moved. Before I blacked out, I remember a shadow leering over the entire ship, and death came soon after. At least I wish it had. I awoke in a panic, flailing wildly in the water, reaching out for something that wasn't there. I looked around the wreckage of what had to be the ship, and I climbed on top of some splintered wood, and I tried to get a look at my surroundings. Fins and flesh. That's one way I could describe what I saw. There had to be hundreds of them, the sharks that is. They were tearing at the dead bodies that literally encompassed the entire area. One passed no more than 3 feet away from where I was standing, and I stood still with fear. There was nothing keeping it from knocking me off my flimsy chunk of wood, so I had to find something else fast. I looked around and spotted a godsend. An intact lifeboat floated about 10 feet away, just beckoning me inside, and I was so tempted to jump in there and swim for it, but the sight of a little girl's body be torn in half discouraged me from those thoughts. I stood there watching the bodies sink beneath the surface, worrying when they'll get bored of their buffet and decide to go for me instead. I took another glance at the lifeboat. Was it drifting away? This could be my only chance. Son of a bitch, Drew, you're a fucking moron. I jumped head first into the water, slamming right into the side of one of those fuckers. You idiot. My heart beat wildly as I breached the way, swimming as fast as I could to the lifeboat. 10 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet, I'm almost there. Something slammed into my left leg and I yelled out in fear. It was sure to come back. The thoughts of me being torn to shreds by these beasts permeated through my entire being, and I froze still. I looked around as dozens of fins seemed to encircle me. I couldn't manage to move an inch despite the lifeboat being less than 3 feet away. The fins got closer, but so did something else. I felt a bigger presence somewhere, but I couldn't put my finger on it. At that moment some sort of explosion rippled beneath me and I was launched right into the air, landing directly into the lifeboat. I laid there for a moment as a painful reminder made itself present. A fragment of bone seemed to pierce through my chest just an inch below my nipple and I whimpered like a little bitch. Being so reactive to my pain and finally realizing what had honestly just happened, I didn't bother take notice to the commotion that was happening around me. It looked like the ocean was giving birth as giant bubbles gushed from the water, sending chunks of mutilated flesh into the sky. My eyes widened with fear, as hundreds more seemed to pop from the sea like nothing I had ever seen before. Flesh and blood surrounded the boat as I painfully leaned up to get a better glimpse. It was the sharks, I shit you not. The little fuckers had to be in some sort of frenzy, tearing each other apart. Yeah, that's what it was. I closed my eyes, pulling a nearby tarp over me, wishing for dreams of rescue and happiness, but I was a fool to dream. I was a damned fool. I awoke to a god-awful moaning, and shot up out of my sleep. It was pitch black, and the moon was the only thing that seemed to shine a light on my whole situation. The scene was beautiful, really. It looked like I was sailing on glass in the middle of the stars. But beauty is only skin deep, you know? Another moan made me snap into reality. What the fuck was that? I looked around, barely noticing the pool of blood that came from my wound. Something ducked beneath the water to my left and the whole boat felt like it was being sucked into some sort of vortex. It rocked violently as a wall of water crashed against the side, sending me flying into the water. The water felt like ice against my skin, and I quickly scrambled towards the boat when another moan rumbled from beneath me. My eyes widened as I looked into the murky depths. It was as if the sea had eyes, thousands of them. Bright yellow circles the size of cars peered up at me, all blinking in unison, and as quickly as they appeared, they shot away like they were relatives of the Flash. At that instant I was sucked underwater at unimaginable speeds. I opened my eyes as the lifeboat silhouette disappeared from view. After 10 seconds of high-octane fear, I simply stopped moving and just drifted in the depths of the water. Help, please, someone. A guttural moan blew against my body from beneath the water and I peered into the murky depths. Thousands of fish I've never seen before scattered from the water, their bodies and proportions seeming incomprehensible. I tried to scream, but something else caught the attention of my fear. It was massive, and its whole body lit up like a Christmas tree. I couldn't describe it completely if I wanted to. So many faces and shapes I couldn't make out. At one point I swear its whole body morphed into a crude version of a stingray. Meaty wings with jagged edges and thousands of what looked like arms. The head was nothing more than a stump with teeth lazily punched into the sides, and tail that looked like a mix between a crab and sea urchin. I felt a pressure form in my chest as blood began to seep into the water, and the creature slowly turned its face towards my direction it noticed. I barely had a chance to blink before I was face to face with this horror from the deep. Its body now resembling a skinned seal the size of a skyscraper with vein-riddled, bloated eyes looking directly at me. I felt my lungs begin to burn as oxygen seemed to beckon me, but I didn't dare move. Its stomach split open and a spiny tube jutted out with imaginary speed up to my face. The tube seemed to peel away, revealing a human face. It spoke to me.
"You seem sleepy,"
it said in a serenade almost. I was.
"You close your eyes, sleepy fledgling."
I did.
"Breathe in the life around you."
I can't.
You must. You must."
Its voice was so calming, so persuasive that it was impossible to resist. I must. Yes, I must. There was no other option. Suddenly I felt the ocean breach my lungs and I opened my eyes, the face now some form of distorted pig-like creature. I broke out of its horrific trance and the thick appendage wrapped itself around me. I reached for the surface, I imagined myself high above the sky away from this hell. I imagined myself sailing on glass in the outer reaches of space.
You're not the first one to reach for the stars, little fledgling.
My life force was all but drained as I felt my body being torn apart by claws and talon and teeth from beyond this world.
But the stars are closer than you know.
It said in a final whisper. There was darkness, and then nothing.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.